Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about you knowing your environment. So, the inspiration for this video came from working out at the gym today, and then I was sitting in the hot tub afterwards, stretching, letting my muscles relax, and this loudmouth schmuck was on his phone. I kid you not. He was on his phone in the hot tub. He had the headphones in and it was plugged in, and he was speaking so loudly I could hear his entire conversation. So don't be a loudmouth schmuck. But at one point in his conversation with, I'm assuming, his sister, he said, "Well, Charlotte, you know your environment." And I was like, that is a great piece of advice, and I can expand on that, and that's what we're doing here in this video today. So, first piece of advice, don't be a loudmouth schmuck. Second piece of advice, don't bring your phone to the hot tub. Don't do that. You can take 5 minutes to just be off your phone. But thank you to the loudmouth schmuck for this piece of advice. So, you know your own environment. You know your environment. What does that mean? I am a big advocate of personal responsibility, of, doing things in your life that you think are good. And I've always been a big proponent of the idea of you are the best person in your life to make decisions for your life. It's not a very controversial opinion, I feel like, but our society is sort of trying to move towards, the government knows best, the politicians know best, the XYZ, you got to trust the experts, you got to trust all this stuff. And while it's great to have experts and people who are trained to do their jobs properly and things like that, only you in your own life can make decisions that will have huge repercussions and impacts on your life. So this is why teenagers begin to rebel against their parents, is that the teenager thinks that they know what's best for their life, and the parent has a different view. Neither one is inherently right or wrong, but it's just one of those things. But I do strongly believe that personal responsibility and making the decisions that are right for your life is probably the best way to go. It's probably your safest route. It's probably the most efficient. It causes the least amount of damage. An external person like a counselor or someone can come into your life and really help it. But at the end of the day, you have to choose to implement the things that your therapist tells you, or you have to choose to take that prescription the doctor gives you. You have to choose to go to the gym. You have to choose to do all of these things. So you kind of go back to square one, is that you are the best person and it's your environment, so you will know what's best to do. There really is no way around it. There's no other way to kind of expedite it or make it easier. So that's kind of the subject of this video. But I think it's important, and I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't think it was important. But our whole, I don't know how you'd classify it, like Western society, is very built on the premise of like, well, we have to put these safeguards in place because the public, sometimes they're going to abuse this system, or they're not going to do it right, or, we have to make them do this. And in my view, that's kind of like a race to the bottom, because you're trying to accommodate like the lowest of the contingent of the people. Whereas if you're able to have that personal responsibility, you're kind of aiming for the highest, right? Like you are expecting difficulty, but you're ready to embrace it and you're going to do better. So I just think that it's probably a better metric, and like always going to the lowest common denominator is always going to result in very, like, you have to have low expectations. Not a lot is going to happen. Good things aren't going to happen when you just plan for the lowest of expectations. You need to obviously have safeguards in your life, because those lowest things do happen, and there are people out there that will abuse the system and will, take it for everything it's worth. But at the same time, you definitely want to aim for the highest. And again, your habitat, your situation is really unique. I don't think we realize. I think like a lot of us kind of think that we all live in this monoculture, and we all, Christmas and Halloween and, days off and all of this kind of stuff. Like we all think, oh, we're all the same. Like we could all, interchangeably fit into each other's lives. But that's really not the case. You have a totally different circumstance than your neighbor, or even somebody living in the same house as you. You live completely different lives. And the person to make choices for you should be you. There's really nobody, like not even a parent can really, like after the age of like 14, a parent just becomes kind of a guardian. Like, oh, I'm going to make sure that you don't, do something insane, but you get to choose what happens in school and extracurriculars, what you do on your off time, when you go to bed. Like there's all these things that you get to control, and nobody is really going to hold your hand. And if they do, they really shouldn't, because it's not going to work out well. It never does. Never really does. Yeah. So your environment. You are the one to make or break. And I know that kind of sounds a little bit scary, and it's like, oh gosh, I have all of this responsibility, but everybody does. Everybody has the same level of responsibility, and if it's going to work, it's going to be because you made it work. And if it's not going to work, it's not always because you didn't do a good enough job. Sometimes there are external situations, actually not even sometimes, most of the time there are external situations that affect exactly what's going on, but you have a lot of personal agency, personal responsibility, and I really think that nobody else in life is going to help you. Like I can give you advice, random people on the internet can give you advice, all kinds of your parents, your friends, your coworkers, your grandparents, whatever, they can all give you advice and like, oh, well, I did it this way, or, it worked out great for me in the 50s, like doing it like this. But you understand your situation, and so to be able to have that, what would it be, like willpower, or to have that, I guess, ability just to like overview your whole life and go, oh, these are the areas I need to improve on and work towards, and this is a goal I have. Those kinds of things really can't be taught to you. You can learn a lot through all kinds of avenues, but at the end of the day, actually integrating and actively doing things in your life, that comes down to you. So I guess what I'm saying really isn't like, I know it's not like groundbreaking or revolutionary, but I don't know. I think it's good to hear that, like, everybody should hear that, like, you are the master of your own fate. You know your own environment, and it's scary, but it's what we all have to do. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it didn't make you spiral into like an existential pit of dread. It really shouldn't. It's kind of liberating to realize like the power is in your hands. And if you don't like something about yourself, or the way you look, or the way you act, or the way you eat, it's time to find some knowledge that you really like and that you vibe with really well. Embrace it, put it into practice. And I think it'll always end up better than where you are right now. And don't compare yourself to other people. I say that a lot, but don't do it. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's way better. So thank you guys for listening. Apologies if it came out as a rant, but I believe it. Thank you to the loudmouth schmuck in the hot tub who said this little pearl of wisdom. That just proves that you can get wisdom from anybody, even your enemies, or I won't say he's an enemy, but I was just looking at him like, what the heck, bro? Like, come on now. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.